Carolyn.
Hello.
So how you like that chair? That's what they're thinking about.
It's great. It's better than this.
Oh, yeah. I noticed you bird dogged that one and grabbed it.
Yeah, man, they did. Bob told me to grab this thing.
Yeah.
He said, get it before Dave gets it.
Yeah. He didn't know I was even gonna be.
Oh my God.
And it was a 50-50 shot because I had other plans and he, my other plan, first I got a friend of mine down from Jackson. He couldn't get his quote.
Calls meeting order, City of Port Richey Council Town Hall meeting Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, by saying the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, have roll, please.
Mayor John Eric Hoover,
Here.
Vice Mayor Chris Mayer,
Here.
Councilman Robert Hubbard,
Here.
Councilwoman Lisa Burke,
Here.
Councilwoman Christine Sullivan. Here. City Manager Andrew Butterfield.
Here. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is obviously our town hall, quarterly town hall. Go with the ground rules. I know most of you all probably know these, but I'll tell you anyway. First one is this is your meeting. Agenda is open discussion. Be kind and respectful to everyone. Be attentive and not disruptive. Try not to monopolize the meeting because others may need to talk or want to talk. We did go mobile with this meeting last time. We were going to plan on having this one as mobile, but it didn't work out. So if you do know of a place that you'd like to see the town hall in the future, let us know, and we'll try to accommodate that. Have fun and be productive. One thing we all have in common is we want Port Richey to be the best it can be. And then after, what we'll do is if a topic's brought up, we'll stay on that topic until everyone's had a chance to speak on it, and then we'll close the topic and move on to another topic. And obviously, as you know, these are relatively new meetings. We've been doing a couple of years now, but if there's any kind of suggestions you'd like to see changes, let me know, and we'll try to implement those. Okay. So with that, I will open the floor. I don't have anybody signed up, so if you'd like to start off, raise your hand and be recognized. Mr. Mueller, welcome.
Dave Mueller, 5439 Blue Point Drive. Still there, brother?
Yeah.
This is just an observation. I know we've got a lot of contingencies that we haven't burned through in the budget for fiscal 25. I think since 9/11's coming up next week, I think we probably can afford two, actually maybe three flags out front. They're in pretty rough shape. It would be a good sign to replace them.
Yeah, just so you know, I actually saw that a couple weeks ago. I mentioned to Andy, have we done anything on the flags yet? Or?
No, sir, but we'll make sure we have that done before.
I think it's below scope for threshold. Somebody can go down and purchase a flag. There's a flag shop in Tampa. I got a friend of mine who every year he wins, or every year he wins the most unusual job. And his job is putting flagpoles up.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that would be a good idea if we get that done before the 11th.
Ship it overnight or in 2 days for the
Yeah.
trolley. It's just-
And I know too that I think the flags out there. Do we have a vendor that we use for those? Because they seem like they're relatively thin material. Maybe we get some better quality flags out there that would not. They would hold up better. I don't know.
Well, they usually last a few, anywhere between 3 to 4 months, all depending on the weather. It's
Yeah.
all, it's, you got to remember, they're out there 24/7
Right.
all the time, rain, sun, so they're constantly battered.
Yeah.
So, but, if you get yourself a burlap thick flag, it's going to cost you, quite a bit of money. So,
Well, I guess it depends on how long it lasts. If it doesn't last as long, then you're probably better off doing the other ones. But
we have spares. We replace
Okay.
them periodically, so they'll be replaced before the ceremony.
okay, cool. And actually, on that too, I guess it's the city of Port Richey flag is only one-sided, I think, or either the Florida or the city of Port Richey one is only one-sided. It's flying out there now. I can't remember
I
which.
got to look at it. I'll
Yeah.
take a look at it.
So I don't know if that was a mistake or they just didn't print the other side or something. I think it was our city flag, I think. Okay. Anything else on flags? Okay, we'll close that out. Next topic. Anybody else want to speak? Devin, welcome.
Boy, do I hate public speaking. 5414 Bay Boulevard.
Devin Aaron.
Devon Aaron, sorry. 5414 Bay Boulevard. Hey, Sal. A lot of topics actually on my mind that I'd love to sort of talk to everybody about.
Well, let's start with one, and I'll ask if anybody else wants to add to that, and then we'll close it out and go through them.
Probably the first topic that I'd like to sort of speak about is CRA. With a lack of leadership and things like that, we haven't really, and really changing leadership and things like that, and Matt leaving and just a lot of different things happening, we've accumulated $5 million in CRA, okay? We don't really have a solid plan where that money is supposed to really go to, how we're supposed to, utilize that. But that came about, in boom and bust cycles of Florida, where, in 1969, they came up with the CRA Act, and, it's supposed to help communities in distress like ours, which are communities really in distress right now because of obviously the flood, things like that. And we need to utilize that money, appropriately. And on Matt's way out, Matt Koppler's way out, I had a meeting with him. I love Matt, by the way. He was such a sharp guy, and it was really sad to see him go. But I had a meeting with him because I wanted to pick his brain and sort of understand, things about the city and, where he was and everything, and a lot of his thoughts prior to him leaving, so that knowledge wasn't lost. And I said, what are some of the things that are really important to you, that, we need to sort of do? And he brought up CRA, and I wasn't even aware that there was so much money in there. But we've been sitting on our hands because obviously we're going to do the waterfront district and all that. That development kind of came through. Now there's other people coming in and purchasing a lot of that land. So now it's not really viable to sort of, make a whole lot of, promises to that area and things like that, because we really don't know. And we have these developers that are coming out of left field, and they're just kind of full of it, to be honest with you. They're not really, we can't even get them to cut the grass, let alone, really develop anything and make any concrete plans with anybody. And I think everybody knows that at this point. It's kind of like a dog and pony show with those people, which is fine. They came in and they wanted to, buy the property and do some stuff to it politically and legally to make it more valuable. And they did that, and they accomplished their goal. But now we still are sitting on all this money. We don't really have a place for it to go. And Matt, one of his last things was CRA, and I said, well, Matt, what is your idea for CRA, and where should that money go? He said, the parks. He says, your parks are in shambles, which, God, anybody who's been to our parks knows that they're, really in shambles. They're Nick's Park, the boards, you can lift the boards up, you can, it's not safe, I'm not saying we should close it, but, in Brasher just got, slum and blighted, by the building official, correct? Which rightfully so, right? It's a mess, So, and the reason why that's also a good place to put those CRA dollars is it's not helping anybody individually. There's no issues there, conflicts of interest, things like that. Where developers are pressuring or coercing or whatever might be happening in the background. We need to put that money back in the city where it really matters. And our citizenry, needs something to say, oh, wow, the city's really caring about us, doing something good. And the CRA is supposed to be for that. It's supposed to fight slum and blight and make the city a better place and make it more valuable so people want to move here and live here. And our parks are in such disarray that we really need to, to put that money to work. And you can do a lot with $5 million, even in today's world. So, I was thinking that potentially you could take $500,000, fix Brasher, okay? It doesn't have to be magnificent, whatever. The likelihood of that becoming a boat ramp over there is low, just because of the geographical location of it and the fact that to dredge there is so difficult because it's all rock, it's super shallow, and the footprint of that park is very small, so it's really hard to have any long-term goals there. But to make it a nice park and to clean it up so it's usable to the citizens, I go for jogs down there, a couple times a week. It's something I like doing. It's something I appreciate. It's actually a nice run. There's not many people. It's nice. And then Nick's Park is really our biggest attraction for the whole city. It drives the most traffic to the city out of anything that we have here, other than maybe like Whiskey Joe's or whatever. But really, I mean, I have a place across the river, and I'm always looking at Nick's Park, and there are just thousands of people coming in with their boats. And not saying that, poor, rich, whatever, but people with boats have disposable income, period, end of story, by definition, because obviously, the boating phenomena is mostly an American phenomena or in a Western world. If you go to South America or Africa, they're not pleasure boating, okay? If they're boating, it's because they're trying to catch a dinner, you know what I'm saying? So they're not drinking beers and having a good time out at Durney Key, which they are here. And they're also spending money and stimulating the economy here, and it's a beautiful thing. But Nick's Park's in complete disarray. We could take $1.5 million, take Bob's idea, which was one of the best things I've even heard come from council in quite a long time, make that a reality, make fingers out there, make dockage, whether it's transient or wet slips where they rent monthly or whatever. That would generate some revenue to the city, and obviously renovate the actual boat ramp to where it's more conducive and things like that. And I think we need to sort of get away from trying to schmooze with the developers and make them, more entice them to, make it for them rather than the citizenry. You know what I mean? There's all these people in Pasco County that want to come to Port Richey with their boats and things like that to go boating. And really between Anclote boat ramp and Hudson, that's the only boat ramp in the whole area other than Sims. And Sims Park, they want to turn that into some kind of development too and get rid of that. And now they're talking about doing, a boat ramp across the river, which is great. That's a wonderful thing. But the demand for boating is so high in Florida. There's not enough supply, and the demand is so high. So you got a supply demand imbalance, in the marine economy, if you will, and we need to sort of stabilize that and give the people a place to go boating and enjoy. And that's really why we live here. That's what makes Port Richey a great spot, is boating and the water. Otherwise, we would be like Zephyr Hills, which nothing's going on there. It's just like cows, you know what I mean, and stuff. Which who cares? And I like cows, I like animals, but you know what I mean. But I like boating too. That's why I live here, So, and then. With what Bob said, I kind of thought even more about it, and I was like, man, what if we did something with Waterfront Park? It's huge. It's 11 acres. And if you read the deed, it's not that restrictive, as long as we actually go to the FCT who's handling that, and we actually give them a reasonable plan that helps the disgruntled youth and things like that, which we're supposed to be doing in the first place, and I don't really think we're doing that in the first place, is helping the disenfranchised youth and things like that. That's part of the agreement in the deed. That was really donated to the city by what's his name? Edwin. Not Brookfield, Brookman, Edwin Brookman. He was a mayor of Newport Richey, and he was born in like 1900 in New York, and he came here. He was a doctor in Newport Richey. He was one of the big wigs, and making things happen back in the day. And somehow that got donated, and Nick's Park got donated back in before Port Richey was even incorporated. It's just really interesting history. So I've done a lot of deep diving on this to try to make this, more of a practical idea. But we could do a marina there. We could do a really, really nice marina at Nick's Park, or at Waterfront Park rather. It's a huge piece of property. We would have to do a land lease from the state, which isn't a big deal. It's cheap. and we could make that happen. We already have a seagrass study going, and we would need to do dredging there. But there's 720 feet by 200 feet of viable space where we could actually put dockage, wet slips, that would generate money for the city. I'm talking about how do you think the Lowe brothers do it at Catches and their marina down there, Port Richey Marina? That's an asset, money generating asset. I mean, we could do the same thing, and putting CRA dollars in something like that would boost the value of the whole neighborhood and change the vibe around here. Right now, Miller's Bayou, there's nothing really going on there, period. And there's really nothing going on at Waterfront Park. And that's really the heart of what we have going on there, rather than spending money on Grand Boulevard, which is which is 15 to probably 20 years out in the future, where anything's really gonna happen there realistically. We could put money in Waterfront Park, build a marina there, maybe even an amphitheater of some kind or another, sell it to the FCT, make it a viable option, and have an asset that generates money for the city. And doing the math on it, we could probably fit around 160 or 170 wet slips in multiple lengths, okay? Overnight, things like that. We would need to have a dock master, okay? But these are things that Port Richey should really do. They do it in Clearwater, they do it in Dunedin, okay? But we need to get our stuff together, come up with good, solid ideas. I think this is probably a really winning idea, and I kind of plan on pushing this till it happens. So I'm gonna be pushing this till it happens. And there's nobody who's benefiting other than the citizenry, which is really nice, because there's not some developer getting CRA dollars or anything like that in the background. It's all clear, it's out in the open, it brings everybody's home value up, and it gives people like, the doctors and stuff gonna work for Moffitt Cancer Center. What do you think these people wanna do? They all own boats. They're millionaires. So what do? They go buy a boat, they put it in Port Richey Marina or the Waterfront Park Marina, and they buy all these little houses around the neighborhood. They tear them down. They finally build these nice, beautiful 2-3 story houses, and that's what CRA is all about. That's what it's really there for, to energize the community and bring money and change sort of the landscape and what we have going on. And I think that we don't need to do 170 slips or anything like that, but we could probably start with maybe 75 or 80. And doing the math on that, I did just, back of the envelope calculations, which are pretty easy to do. $15 a foot, the average boat, 30 feet, let's say 50 slips or 75 slips, that's $350,000 a year in revenue generation. Huge. And it's not just the revenue that's generated, it's the type of people it attracts to the area and the neighborhood, people who want to spend money. It creates a vibe down there where you see boats, people want to see boats. You can do a boardwalk all the way around Waterfront Park as well, over by where Ryan's development is supposedly supposed to be and whatnot, and tie that in. And that would extend that whole waterfront over towards Waterfront Park and the bayou and tie it all together and make it big and beautiful and vibrant and something that we could actually look forward to. And we're already needing to dredge. So we already got a dredge there. And what's nice about that location is it's only like, I think 100 to 200 yards from a federal channel. Okay, so we could lobby and talk to the Army Corps, and have them dredge that federal waterway, which they're really supposed to do, and that's due for dredging, by the way. That's another thing. So it's so close to a federal waterway, there's not that much to dredge there. And it's not like we're just spending money into the ether here. It's something that would actually generate money. If I owned it, for instance, and it was me, that's what I would do. I would make a marina, and I would make millions of dollars with this marina. And I don't own it. The city owns it. And I'm just a resident of the city, but I love this place. I'm here. I own 10 properties here. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. And I want everything to do well here. And I think that we've been sitting on our hands for the last, 5 years on our CRA, haven't done a thing except blow money on, things that didn't make sense, whether it's, the pirate bar and, people's interests and things like that, which everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's fine. We need to take that money and actually put it towards, the better of the general public and making things better here in the city. And that's what I'm pushing for. So, and there's nobody who's going to benefit. I'm not like a dock builder or nothing like that. I own 5 Star Marine. Everybody knows that. We do marine hydraulics. That's it. We do work all around the world and country, but I don't get money from Port Richey's like, 0.25% of our overall business. Nothing. You know what I mean? So that's my vision. And really it's because of Bob that it all like kind of clicked for me. I was like, oh God, that's, and sorry I haven't been to any of the meetings. I hate public speaking.
Doesn't sound like it.
I hate coming up here. Yeah.
So let's talk about CRA.
Sorry.
Yeah, so let's talk about CRA. Adam, if we could pull up and I could pull up on here.
By the way, he's doing such a good job. You are so much better than Rachel. Like 50 times better than Rachel. And you get down at the dance floor at the mayor's ball. What's that? I saw that, man. It was like, oh, damn.
Just had surgery.
Like it was getting down to, I was like, oh, man.
So if you've been at the CRA budget workshop we had, he's got stuff allocated so far. So maybe we could step through that, just kind of see where we're at from a CRA perspective going forward. Because I know you had the budget done. Are you prepared to talk about that a little bit?
I can talk about Derek's here too. So So this year alone, I'm the same boat you are. When I came here, you can ask Andy. We talked about, hey, we got too much money. We're sitting here. We're not using it appropriately. So this year we have really pushed to have those things that we've been trying to do and never have done. We've always allocated money for it, but never done those things.
Right.
So we are pushing for those this year with Derek's help. He helped really come up with a plan. We're doing a park master plan. We're going to try to redo the parks and try to do all those things. So the money is going to be spent this year. So we've allocated to fix the parks and fix other areas, buy some property that's kind of
I don't know if we should be buying property.
Well,
period on the story. Like, I think that might be a serious misallocation of CRA dollars and resources. I'm just saying. Like, I know we want to buy fire department land and things like that and this, that, and the other, but like we need to fix our parks.
And that's where most of the money is going to. We have a large swamp. We have a bathroom that needs to be replaced at Brasher. There's a lot of money allocated to those types of things.
And I've got the budget thing up. If you want to kind of go through this, maybe kind of show how we've allocated that out so far. Yeah. If you tell me where to roll down, so this is for this Thursday's meeting. There's a 4.9 million. That's our current budget for 24-25, right? And then we've got 5.3, which is our preliminary budget 25-26.
So this is the revenue.
Right. So I'm gonna go down the expense, but I want to show the balance.
Yeah.
So here's the expense report. So as you see, the salaries, there's nothing in there. And then we do have some city staff salaries that are coming out of that.
Yeah, we get paid out.
How much is coming out of there?
What's that?
How much is coming out of the CRA for staff?
So we have Derek that we pay 90% of his, and we pay a percentage of mine and a percentage of the city manager's. A couple.
How much in aggregate?
I want to say about 15%, I think, for each of us, and then he gets paid 90%,
Right.
And then there's a couple of my finance clerk gets paid a percentage out of there.
That's all reasonable.
It's all a very small amount of money. So then, so most of it, if you keep going down, this is just how the different areas that the money is populated from.
I think it's below 150K annually.
Yeah, we don't
Super reasonable. We got $5 million in there. It's a lot of money.
keep going.
There's operating. Well, there's 2 million in up. Let's see. No, never mind. Sorry. Capital outlay. Here you go.
Yeah. So this is where we are. So this is for our wayfinding, waybranding. We have $300,000 set aside. We do have $1.9 million in the purchase of land. One of that, I think, if we were trying to do.
The Bank of America building.
Well, we were looking at that.
Absolutely not.
That's not a viable thing for us.
No, it's not viable.
We do believe we're trying to do a new.
We were looking at that.
We're looking at that, but I think we're trying to do a new park. I think from what Mr. Mayor had said.
Wait, a new park?
Yeah, it's just
Like a rebuilding our old parks, or for doing a whole new park?
We're rebuilding the old parks, but also maybe looking at, we want to make sure that in everywhere we got kids and places to live, there's a park for them to go to.
So Deb, just so you know, for the water plant, we're looking at property behind here for the water plant, but there's also
But that's not for CRA.
so the other part of that is our lots over on the
Coons Road.
Coons Road.
Because it'd be where we need the deep well injection.
And so that would
And it would be very little above ground stuff, and it could also have a secondary use as a park.
right. So there'd be a park incorporated with that project as well, potentially.
Here's my only problem with land acquisition. We already own a ton of property.
Actually, we actually don't own a whole lot of land.
Okay, well, here's my point, okay? My point is we're talking about doing new parks when we got a bunch of parks, and they're all in shambles. We need to fix what we have. We need to finish what's on our plates. Our eyes are bigger than our stomach, is what it is. And we're wanting to do all these fancy new things, but we got to take care of what we have in the pipeline already, which is our parks currently, like Brasher, like Nix Park, like Waterfront Park. I mean, these are beautiful parks as they sit. And of course we need, stuff for the kids and things like that, but we need to take care of what we have before we're going to purchase anything new. And buying, well land or whatever with CRA dollars, that's not enhancing the value of the neighborhood, with that money. And I could, we could debate whether that's really
We're asking for appropriation money to cover that acquisition. We'll see what happens.
But CRA dollars really should go towards fixing parks and appreciating the value of the neighborhood, and that's what it's doing. It's supposed to fight slum and blight. And we obviously need water coming out of the ground, but we pay for that. And if we need to reallocate money or change stuff, that's, Adam's doing a good job. I'm sure he could, figure out what we need to charge and float a bond or whatever we got to do. But I'm serious. I mean, this is, you know what I mean?
I feel you, but also, it's also to upgrade. So us buying land and being able to do something on it is a lot better, and it's part of that plan than let it sit there and overgrow and us do those types of things. So if we can use this money to make the city better by buying land and making it more useful, that's going to grow your value, to whoever lives next door to it, instead of just sitting there being vacant. So there's plans in place to help facilitate that. We did put some money aside for that. Doesn't mean we're going to spend the whole $1.9 million on land purchase. It's just there to do that. And we're going to be strategic with it. We're not just out
I
buying.
understand that this has to be in place because that's the legality of everything like that. And we want that, but there's so many things that need to be done, and there's really not a grand vision for doing anything grand for the city. And my issue is Andy's here and he's doing a really good job, but he's got a different council and things like that, and things change, and things are hard to come up with a solid concrete plan, and there's not a lot of public participation. You know what I mean? And people aren't really paying attention. Seriously, people are not paying attention. I'm paying attention. I've been paying attention. I just haven't came up here in like a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I've been paying attention. I watch every meeting, and then some, and not many people do.
The city is trying to do what's right by the CRA and stuff. You're exactly right. Have we done it in the past? We have not. We should be sitting on $5 million, but I think that,
But just spending it to spend it.
well, we're not just spending to spend it. There's a plan in place. Like I said, we have people out looking for a weight brand. We're trying to brand all the parks in the same area. So you go to the same park, it looks like the same park. It's there. We're upgrading this. We're upgrading that. There's things, and there's a plan in place. Is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
We're not just really.
We get $1 million a year, right? We get $1 million a year.
That's actually, what is it, 700,000?
700,000 in our take. Yeah, about 1.6 million, something like that.
What do you mean? How is it? What is 700,000 and 1?
Well, we get 700,000 from the county, and then the city takes in a percentage of that. So I think it's 700,000, 800,000 from the county
every year
into
the CRA. So that's enough right there to fix all of our parks on an annual basis for sure. I think we need to fix these things before we go off and start doing land acquisitions and things like that, because it's not just the purchase of the land, but then you got to build something on the land and the engineering and everything. And by the time you're all done, you got $5 million in a new park, and you got one new park, and you got 6 parks that are dead.
Well,
So that doesn't make any sense.
I think too we have to be realistic on, we can say, hey, we're going to do this and that. Also, it takes time to get that stuff in place and stuff like that. But Derek is our CRA guy. He could probably answer.
Can't wait to talk to you, Derek.
Well,
Can't wait.
a clarification on the using money for fire stations. It's illegal, so you can't do that. So that's not going to happen.
Right.
Tomorrow, we actually have a meeting with the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council to assist us with a conceptual plan for each park because everybody has their own ideas. So it's hard for staff to pick a direction and go with it. So we'll start with that conceptual plan, get it before the board.
Who's this coming from, though, is the question.
The Regional Planning Council or staff, sorry. So, and a bigger issue like we're talking about is we have a plan, we have a CRA plan, but it's never been fully programmed. We have these goals, but they've never been fully programmed. And so that's what I've been trying to do is find the goal.
You're the shepherd.
Yeah, and program it.
Shepherding the money.
I'm the money guy, I'm the programmer.
And
We
it's
got
work
good guys.
going and gals.
And I've only been here a few months. So,
Yes, sir. I know that. I'm not.
no, yeah, and I understand
The
that.
problem is the vision. There needs to be vision for this money. That's the problem. Bob's been here forever. He knows the deal. He's got a vision. He sees Nick's Park. He sees these fingers. He sees boats out there. He sees property values going up. Great vision. I got a similar vision. My vision's even bigger at Waterfront Park. But we could start with something that would make sense rather than letting the planning commission and all these bean counters and stuff just sitting behind desks making.
But
By being serious, man. That's
I
why
agree.
nothing gets done in this country is because we need people on the council to really speak up and say
Yeah.
really where this money is supposed to go with vision and things like that. I'm very busy. It's hard for me to be, on the council and stuff like that. I got a 2-year-old. I got, 15 employees. I got, a whole life I'm living, you know what I mean? And everything else I do, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really want to necessarily do that. But I think that we're steering the ship in funny directions because there's really nobody steering the ship. And Andy just showed up. Great guy. Andy's a super guy. But he's like he's like, oh my God, he's lifting up this rock. He's like, oh my God. He's busy. Eric's in his office all the time. He's got a lot on his plate. You know what I mean? I'm serious.
That's not true, actually, but
Listen, I know what's going on here, okay? All right, I love everybody, but you know what I mean? He's got a lot on his plate, All right?
just to
There's a lot of laughing going on, not for any reason, you know what I'm saying?
elaborate. So with the planning, it would incorporate a part of like a community feedback. So it just has to be an counter decision.
Yes.
And so the idea is once that conceptual plan, right, gets approved by the board, then we'll take it to design and engineering for more specifics and then get it out to bid.
so
It's expensive though, by the time we're done with all this stuff, and is that even the thing we're supposed to do? We spent $600,000 on the waterfront overlay district that didn't even happen because it was a bad thing, and it was benefiting somebody who was on council at the time. And that's really what was going on there, you know what I'm saying? So that was the wrong thing. And what I'm saying is we need to put it into our parks. I'm not sure what we need to actually do for sure. But I think that the problem is you're shepherding, you're doing the finance, but nobody's steering the ship. And we had these people come in, Ryan's group, which I think meant well, but they promised us a lot and they stirred up a lot of trouble in the city and nothing's happening, period. And I think what happened was they bought at the top of the market. Now everything, interest rates are high, the economy's terrible. Whether people know it or not, the economy is terrible, okay? And there's not development going on, period. There's nobody's big companies and investment, banks and stuff, they're not putting money out on condos right now in Florida. They're just not doing it. If you look at the Aqua House or whatever down south in Gulf Harbors, that got started 2 years ago. It was a whole different economy 2 years ago. I'm serious. Interest rates need to come down. A lot of things need to happen for us to progress into the future here. But relying on CRA money, wondering what developers are speculating to do is not the move. And we need to come together, council needs to come together and really talk about where this money is supposed to be allocated, because we're just going to, excuse my language, we're just going to piss it all away towards studies and things like that, because they're trying to do their jobs, but they don't have direction. And that's the problem.
So let me stop you there.
Yes, sir.
I'm packing a lot of information here, and I don't want the public to be misunderstanding of all these things are being told.
$5 million in CRA, that's my issue.
That is
That's why I'm here. $5 million CRA, it's a lot of money.
and we have a plan that's been in place for a while, and obviously Derek talks more about what's in that plan. And what you spend that CRA money on has to align with that plan. Okay.
Yes.
And so, and let's just use the waterfront park marina project that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
That would need to go into the plan because it's not currently there. So it's not something we could just redirect without going through and changing that plan to reflect that. I don't know.
We got a council, and that's what we're here for.
Right. So if
Next CRA meeting and workshop, maybe we need to have another one and talk about some stuff, because Bob came up with a really good idea. And Bob, what do you think?
so hold on. So going back to going up to Bob's, I'd loosely say Bob's idea because I've also said that we wanted to have public dockage down at Nick's Park. We don't really know what's going to happen down there with development.
We don't care about what's going to happen with these stupid developers. That's right. Forget the developers.
Again,
They're not doing anything.
I drove by it today. It looks terrible.
yes. So let me tell you about that too. So, but I'm going to come back to that in a minute.
By the way, I love you. I love you, Eric.
You know, I can feel it.
I do love you, man.
We have a plan CRA, right? And so we deploy resources based on that plan, or we change the plan, deploy them other ways. And so that's obviously a living document. We can make those changes. Absolutely. The board meets and makes those decisions. As far as the Bob's idea, at the last council meeting, we basically by consensus said, let's get some engineering done to look at that.
Right.
Right. So that's happening. It should be happening.
But we might be spending money out of the CRA on things that we don't need. Sorry.
Wait. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What?
You just said we're engineering that, and then you were.
No, I said that. So consensus of
Right.
the council was to look into putting some public dockage down there and do some engineering and actually get that started. So that's
That's got to be done right away. Those docks are falling apart. They're dangerous.
well.
They're dangerous. They really are dangerous.
Again, the consensus of the council was
Right.
to look into that, and so outside of that, I don't know where we're at.
Get on it. Poor Andy.
On Nick's
Did,
Park.
did we reach out to an engineer? I mean, I don't know where we're at on that, but I mean, it was consensus of the council last week that we do that. So probably nothing happened as yet, but
No, it's just been a week. I'm in full agreement that Nick's Park. Right now it's Nick's parking lot, and it needs to be Nick's Park. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm sure.
Yes.
And I know there's some great ideas going on how to move the parking somewhere else and really make that another waterfront park.
Yes.
And
It's a huge attraction to the area, and I see people there every day, and they're enjoying it. And
so going back to what I was alluding to about we need to kind of understand what's going to happen down there has nothing to do with public documents because that needs to happen regardless. Okay. I think the conversation is what aspect of a ramp is going to be there depending on what
that ramp needs to stay there.
well,
People need to be able to utilize.
be expanded. Does it need to be reduced? I don't know the answer to
I
that.
think probably it should stay the way it is. We just need to fix it.
Clean the south side of it and put the finger dock out there next to where the casino boat was.
Right.
So when we tear down the rest of it and dredge it out, they can still use it. And then as we get that dredged out, we can build the new docks, the next one on the other side of the ramp. So the ramp can stay the same size. It just needs to be completely usable on both sides so they have two lanes. So I guess you're modifying it, but you're not changing it. You're
Right.
just repairing
Well,
what's there.
And what I am concerned about is depending on what happens down there on a large scale, right? Do you really want
Nothing's happening for.
trailers going down through there?
Yeah, for now we do. For now we do.
Yes, but
That's what right now we'll do that. But what he's saying is, first of all, he's talking about expanding. We'll put the docks. We'll have more dockage there at Nick's Park, right there in the middle of the waterfront,
Mhm.
and those are more for smaller boats.
Yeah.
We can maybe a couple larger boats next to Hooters on that dock I was talking about. Waterfront Park. Once we prove that we're good shepherds with the parks we have now, we have sunshades we've been talking about in Waterfront Park. Where in the hell are they at?
Right. We could do an amphitheater there.
A lot of parks that we need to put a little money into. I'm not talking about putting docks right now, Waterfront Park right now. We need to get these at Nick's Park then. So when we go to the state, this
Yep.
is what we've done. This is what we're planning to do. This is what we're planning to do at the fire station, and this is where we're going to put it. And this, we have it engineered to do this. And then we can get the money maybe to help us out and get the state to dredge that over there where we're going to put Waterfront Park.
Yes.
What this does, creating accessibility to the city,
Yep.
what creates good investors like Marriott's
Yep.
things like that. That's what you want.
Or condos.
City. Once you build it, they will come.
That's right.
And like we were talking about, the people with boats have money. That's just a given.
And
Have an engineered parking garage. You're talking about 5 years. We don't know how it's going to be developed, but having engineered plans, and this is our plan. We know we're going to have accessibility for people. We need to have that. Like the fire department over on River Road. Are we going to put it there? Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out this week. Because you keep kicking this down the road.
Right.
Now we're going to go get money for it. And the state's like, where are you going to put it? Well, we haven't figured out
Money for pipes, though?
where we're going to put it. And we have to have it engineered. We can get matching funds to get it engineered. But we need it. We need to do it now. And this is where we're going to put it. And we're going to put a firehouse sub right next to it. That'd be cool. All nice brick building.
Right.
You know, maybe work something out with them where they can buy the property right on Grand, where they can have a nice brick front building and they can have retail space next to the fire department, and they can put another building like it where the fire department used to be right across the street if you want to develop Grand. That's down the road. That will come. But you have to have a plan for accessibility to the city before you get the developers in and you get the right people in to make that happen. We don't have that. We're kind of disarrayed on exactly what we're going to do.
Right.
You want to have more parks. I'm all for having parks, but let's take care of what we have now.
Yeah, let's take care of what we
Let's up. Let's show this is what we're doing. This is what our goal is, and this is our vision. And we have engineer plans for these things. And the state's going to go, wow. Pasco County will go, wow.
They really would. Everybody would be like, oh my God.
So I'm not understanding the disconnect here because we just decided last week by consensus of council to start on looking at the documents.
Right, I know.
Okay, so we can only move as fast as staff moves on that, right?
We need consensus, though. That's the thing. Like, we need everybody to.
So let me be abundantly clear here. We have a consensus of council that we're going to look at public dockage down at Nick's Park. Does that resolve that issue with everybody?
But
I don't know what else we need to do on that particular.
Well, and like we understand that he's talking about Waterfront Park. That's down the road.
Right.
And that's a great idea. And what that does is it increases everybody's property value.
And that's what CRA's
take care of their taxes so we don't have to raise their taxes anymore.
Right.
So improves value. This is my goal all along, is improve people's value, make them proud of their city, but not raise taxes on it.
Yeah, well, this is the second year we're going to be lowering taxes, so we're not raising taxes.
We need to raise revenue.
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to be lowering that. I'll be honest. Like, I know, but everything is so expensive, and these people need to get paid money. Period. End of story. And I pay a ton of taxes, and I just got my tax roll today. I don't want to pay none of it, but I got to. You know what I mean? You don't want. That's what it is. But the reality of it is, these people need to get paid. You know, and that's another thing I want to talk about.
And annexation. You want to expand the city? What's that over there off of Congress?
Talking about industrial park.
Industrial Park. That should be some of that should be. If people want to be annexed into the city, we need to figure out who's going to get that done.
I'm going to be addressing annexation with the Planning and Zoning Board next week from today.
There you go.
And
big project. That's a big project.
I'm sorry.
To annex that in.
Councilwoman Sullivan shared with me some ideas on how to fix up Nick's Park. Is move the parking a little east of there, and land swap possibilities with where the bait shop is and some of that. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, man.
Eric, could you share my screen, or could you tell me how to share my screen?
Yeah, let me. Can you give her?
Join the meeting.
Uh-oh.
I haven't joined the meeting. Okay. Dang.
What do you got up?
The Pasco.
Appraisers.
Yeah.
And
Pasco map.
I think our vice mayor made a comment if you want to look.
Oh,
If you would pull up the map of the
Yeah,
park,
give me a second.
Nick's Park.
okay.
Chris is even.
Chris, do you have something you want to say real quick while I'm pulling this map up?
No, I'm good. I was trying to see, you guys couldn't see it because that's CRA.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna share something different here.
Hey, Chris.
Let's see.
Hey, Devin, how are you, sir?
Good, buddy. Good to see you, man.
Good.
Thank you.
Tonight.
Thanks for all your input, Devin.
Don't want to keep everybody here all night. Just got a couple things. It's a whole year's saved up here, so.
We're good. We're so let's come more up.
Oh.
You want to go to the bait shop?
Just to the overhead of the entire area, all the way from what we own, the lots 9 and 10,
Okay, so here's Nick's Park here.
On Cody and Old Post.
Trouble.
Right. So if you would just scroll over a little bit, we can move the water out of the way and
The red building.
Get to where we own
This here?
lots 9 and
Right
10.
there, yep.
Okay.
Lots that we
Just
bought.
gonna make a little-
Oh, the lots that we bought
The lots that we bought.
on the corner here, right here.
Yeah.
9 and 10.
Just by the way.
You can move this all the way over so we can see the park. I just want to be able to see these, right? Okay, so here's Old Post and here's Cody. We own.
Speak up just a little bit. So
You're gonna have to speak up. Oh, we own 9 and 10,
Mhm.
but we really can't do much with those as far as this park because it's way over here and we have all of this in between. But all of this property here and this here is all owned by the owner of this bait shop.
It's Billy.
And
Good old Billy.
so I did some research and I found that with CRA dollars, we could actually do a land swap because the bait shop is kind of vital to the area. It's really good for the park to be able to get all of your bait flies and all of that. So if we could actually start negotiations to see if he would land swap with us to put his bait shop here, which would give him frontage nearly on 19. This is available, by the way, too, if the city wanted to incorporate this into the plan. This little red building here is available.
We've been discussing that as well.
Yeah,
So
so,
we're thinking like,
if
Those are good acquisitions.
picture of this as well, but if the bait shop would move over here, it still stays, important to this area. It is important to the area. And then the city could have across the road access to all of this and have trailers, all kinds of other things. And I prepared a little report with all kinds of regulations that are required, all the required regulations.
that's all
for CRA and
dependent on whether.
Nancy, you look so different.
I'd like to give this to,
So what-
I know Billy. Billy's
everybody
not
can have
gonna
a copy.
change.
We don't have to talk about it. I just wanted to present it as something to think about. And if I could give this to Ashley before we pick it apart, everybody just get a chance to read over it because it's really pretty complex. I broke it all down.
Yeah.
And she could give everybody.
You got a
a
digital copy of that?
I do. I do.
Maybe send that to Ashley. She can send it out to all of us.
Okay.
That way we'd have it.
Okay, so I just wanted to make it a part of because it's a great concept to tie all that land together and make that park a lot
Well,
bigger.
yeah. I mean, if somebody wanted to swap land like that, I mean, we definitely should
Of course,
have a conversation. I don't know why he
there
would.
would be money, but we can also do things as far as moving or not moving, but it would make his building FEMA compliant as well because he'd have to rebuild it. But we can give things. We can offer concessions to help him get that building up in the air and move. We can even help build the building. With CRA dollars, if we come up with the proper plan and just kind of follow the steps, instead of like picking at, let's put docks over here and then we don't have a plan for where we're going to do parking or something like that. I think we need to wrap the whole plan into one thing all at once and then make next steps, which is kind of what I've done here. So if we could start with this and then tear it apart, decide what we like, what we don't like, rather than nitpicking little things that we're doing and doing that and then it's wrong because later on we want this or we want that. If we can conceptualize this, put it through, the planning department or whatever needs to be done, then we could do next steps, get our permits, get everything that we need and make this one big, nice project that would revitalize this entire area. This whole thing is kind of
Dead.
in need of revitalization. So it would take such a big chunk of it, turn it into something so vast and so great for the city.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the driver right over here on lots 9 and 10 to keep that bait shop. And
We could have Andy reach out to was it Bill?
Billy,
Bill.
Yeah.
And float the idea, see what he says. And obviously, if
Right.
he's
I
interested in
think
that, we can talk more
beforehand,
about it.
beforehand everybody needs
That's
to
what this is all about.
read this, get an understanding of the actual plan and stuff before we just start talking to people and throwing out numbers and stuff. That's not quite the way we should go about it. We should have a concept in mind. have a value in our minds by the time we start those conversations, and then go after that, conversation with him. Because if we just start throwing out little ideas right now without having an idea of what we can do for him to make this a sellable pitch. I mean, we have to know what we can offer. We have to have that all,
Billy's pretty cool.
all laid out.
He's nice. He's a really nice guy.
Really, and talk to you, he'll slam the door in your face.
Right.
I couldn't tell you which,
Right.
but yeah.
But I mean,
Good conversations with Billy.
just be
I have
land,
too.
it would be
Yeah.
money, it would be
Boat
help,
stuff.
He wants money. He wants money for his properties, of course.
we could keep this business open until his other one is built, is complete, so that he doesn't lose any revenue from this, and then we start our construction over here. So there's all kinds of little things that I thought of when I wrote this up, and I would just like for everybody to read it first before we.
Would that be
before we-
possible that if I went with Andy to talk to him, would that be a possibility?
No problem with that.
Because I know him. I mean,
Yeah.
There's,
I could lead into
This
it.
can't be two people in council go, but
Right.
it won't be.
But I'm thinking if I went with Andy, maybe, knowing I know him, I could
Go do it.
see what he says.
I think he wants to sell. He wants money for those properties. I don't think he wants to run that bait shop anymore, to be honest with you.
At this property here, which I was confused, we're leasing this out to Whiskey Joe's,
That's correct.
and their landlord owns this property. Why didn't they lease from their landlord this property?
It's an interesting point.
So if we acquired this, and maybe even this would be a perfect place on this road, all this area here for a parking garage. We'd eliminate this road. This is a right of way. You could have a walkway and a golf cart path down through here from the parking garage over to the waterfront. Billy could still move over to here or here, right next to the parking garage. But this is just an idea, but you could have a large parking garage here, and the traffic would come in here and around over to Hooters and back out. This would all be walkway and golf cart accessible. So you transform it.
The significance of
Right.
that red building,
And-
the Thai restaurant. If there's funds available to grab that, because
Right.
once that's cleared, there could be an entirely new entry to the park,
Mm-hmm.
and a great way to tie it all into 19, which we don't have because of that red building.
What Billy might like is the fact that he could get more visibility from 19 and would put a nice, maybe even a little center over there where he could rent out another place next to him, and he could have visibility here plus access to the waterfront. That might be really enticing for him if we could do that. So that's a good idea, and that would open all this up for us to have parking. I don't see a lot of trucks and trailers running around in that waterfront 10 years from now.
We'll see, though. We don't even know.
I don't know, but they take up a lot of space. Right now, Billy's has all the parking over here. When they fill up here, Billy lets them park over there.
Right.
And in the other lot,
And
and in the other one.
But I mean, Billy just sold that property to, Whiskey Joe's, you know what I mean? And then I guess somebody's courting the casino boat property too. So deals are being made and money is moving outside of this big developer thing with the Ryan Burke show. So what I'm saying is we need to get away from those people and we need to move on with our day, and we need to create our own, vision within, the council to sort of push something forward that really makes sense for the community overall. Because we don't care about these developers. We can't even get them to mow the grass.
Okay, let me address that. 'Cause
They got a freaking
It- let me-
Patrick with the
let me give an update as far as what I know on the development. Okay, 8.5 acres has been purchased by those guys. Okay, and there's and they have evidently they have some plans that they've used to create the get the estimates on, right? And let me just pull it up here. So the 19 property here is they have some $80 million project that they've got priced out that should be valued somewhere north of $50 million once they're finished. Okay, they should be they should be clearing this land, and I believe they're going to be clearing the Gill Dogs property as well in the very near future. They're in their financing. There's a gap that they've asked the city for some assistance with. That's as far as I know going forward. The city is looking at options through. I think we're going to use a consultant for that, and they're actually looking. There's been a couple of emails go back and forth. They're public records, so I'll share them with you. The first ask was that at the end of the development that we would rebate them back 75% of the taxes for 15 years. That was the first ask.
That is so crazy.
Again, it's an ask, right?
Okay. Absolutely not.
We had a meeting after that, myself and staff and those guys, and we talked about options, and we explained that it would be very difficult for the city to service a development of that size.
Absolutely.
If all that money is being rebated back, other than 25%, and it's tied up in the CRA. Okay, and so Adam, I think, floated the idea of he talked about bonding. We talked about an incentive cash payment up front to help with it. We also talked about.
This is how big of a project is this again?
So it's $80 million, I believe, and it'd be.
What is their gap? Their finance gap?
It was a $4.7 million.
Okay, that's baloney.
Okay, well,
I understand that. This is
sharing the data that I know. Whether it's baloney or not, I can't speak to
I
that.
understand. This is their negotiation though, back and forth. They got $80 million. They don't have no $5 million finance gap. These people got millions of dollars in private equity.
Well, I will say that there's other things at play within that is causing some of the issues.
Interest note is $5 million.
Part of the reason is the legacy that Port Richey is known for, that not a lot of people want to touch the place. That's a very real stigma that's out there. Obviously, that's been changing over time, but there's still some caution, if you will.
That's our most This is like our most prized land in the whole thing. And I always say, if you're the prettiest girl at the dance, you don't need to be, doing any funny business to get a dance. You know what I mean? This is our nicest piece of property. It's their privilege to be building on that property and get the support from the community to allow them to do so in a PUD and whatever they got to do. We don't need to be, bending to them and doing. They need to come to us. We need to change the ideology of the negotiation. I know there's, you and Andy are doing it and things like that, but there needs to be more of a public discussion that they need to come and reach out to the public.
Keep in mind, we're not negotiating anything. There's no negotiation.
Then why are they saying they want that?
It's an initial proposal that they've come out with.
Backwards though, they're asking for a 75% abatement on. We're already struggling financially to some degree with the city on paying our employees, and they want a 75% abatement for 15 years, a multi-million-dollar private equity group.
Okay,
This is their job to do this, by the way. I'm with that, but also too, this is our city, and this is a really valuable piece of property. So it's like, hey,
okay, well, if
we have a concept.
If I could explain, this is very, very standard procedure for developers to come in and to ask for some help from the city, whether it be tax rebates or anything. And the reason behind that is,
By the way, I do the same thing. Right.
and the reason behind that is, and Newport Richey's been doing it for the last several years. That's why they've been successful in revitalizing their downtown. And so what happens is that CRA money is to help with that, and there's many different avenues to do that. But the reality of it is let's just take the numbers that they give us. If they put a $50 million value of property that's valued at $50 million, and again, I don't understand how you spend $80 million on development and it only gets valued at $50 million. I guess that's the way the tax assessor works, but I'll just take their numbers face value. But if you take $50 million at our current proposed 6.29 mils, about $330,000 a year in tax revenues from the city, coupled with another probably $380,000 from the county. So you're talking about $750,000 in money coming in if it stays in a CRA, which we're now getting 10 grand. So it's a huge amount of money. And so from their perspective and any other developer to say they sold it to somebody else, they're going to come, they're going to want the city to help out in some way, because at the end of the day, the city is going to be a huge benefactor from that tax revenue. And so it's not uncommon, and it's very common actually, that developers would ask for some assistance.
Well, that's their job. They're obviously trying to make money. And by the way, I want everybody to make money in a deal. That's what makes a good transaction for everybody. The issue is they're asking for too much, and we have our own CRA dollars tied up, and we need to release that and start focusing on projects downtown that do not revolve around this group, because they're not doing what
Well, right. So, and
timeline that they thought they were doing. That's
so
the point.
if you would have heard,
Probably just flipping it realistically.
if you would have, I know you probably heard it,
Yes, sir.
the last meeting, not the last meeting, but the meeting we talked about when I actually informed council that they were having these discussions, is that once we kind of come up with some options, that would come back to council. And the only thing that I mentioned it for was, as we was talking about CRA money, was to keep in mind as we allocate for this budget, keep in mind that there may need to be something. That
Absolutely, absolutely not. They don't need a penny of our CRA.
appreciate your opinion.
Terrible.
Okay.
No
But as a
way.
council, we've got to also consider the city as a whole.
Matt specifically told me that money should not go for that.
Okay. Again, everybody has an opinion.
To the parks.
Everybody has an opinion on that. And it's our responsibility as a council to look at all the options on the table. And we very well could, when we come up with something that some options, we come back and we could say, get zero.
No. We want to work with them, but the CRA is a special thing that's really supposed to bring up the overall community. And
Do you not think an $80 million project down the waterfront would not help the city?
just condos, it's more car washes and condos.
For one, there is no plan. We know what it is at all. Okay.
Well, that's what I mean.
How much did we give Avila to develop that?
I don't know if we gave them anything to develop.
Probably not.
Okay.
That's all.
Right.
And when it comes time, if council, if it's a consent, listen, I'm going to be frank.
Yeah.
If it comes down to it that they want, let's just say they want the $5 million in some kind of arrangement, whether it's cash up front or whether it's some tax rebate and maybe we waive some fees here, or maybe, or we do nothing. Okay. That is our prerogative. And we can say, no, we're giving you zero. Do what you want to do. That may be a Kaiser University saying, going up the road. Okay.
Right.
We need that anyways. That would have been a waste of real estate.
Well, we did do a land use change, and we did the land use change before they purchased the property. They wouldn't purchase it until we did the land use change. So now they want is a tax break for the property, because if they want 75 or even 50% tax break on that property, and that increases the property even more.
Right, exactly. These are private equity guys.
They may not be wanting to do anything. First of all, the problem I have is a lot of this stuff is told before they buy the property. So they come in and want to do a land use change. We want to do this. Usually, a developer say, "Well, we're going to do this, but we need help do that." Whether it's in bonds, whether it's in infrastructure, and we could waive impact fees in order to do lift stations or whatever to work with them to do that. And maybe some tax breaks too down the road. That's fine. Usually, it's negotiated before. Now things can change, and you negotiate, but this is huge. First of all, they can't do anything what they first promised us. They first promised us, and I remember talking to you about it, they were talking about all this tax money this is going to bring to the city.
Right.
Not only is that gone, the boardwalk, another property they're going to do with, is gone too.
Yep.
So all that stuff that they were talking about is gone. They can't even do it now.
Yep.
All they can do is put condos, which we already have condos, which anybody can put condos on there, to be honest with
Okay,
you.
there's a lot of speculation going on.
True.
And Andy, if you could verify one thing, what did I say in the meeting when they started talking about tax rebates? And I'll state so you remember and you just clarify this. I stated this was sold to the community because of the benefits coming in. So for us to say we're not going to have any benefit from that for 15 years because we've got 75%, that's a non-starter.
You said that it's not going to fly or it's a non-starter.
Okay. There's an email out there. You can get public record. I've sent it back to him. I said, this is That's it. The council will,
Right.
the public's not going to buy off of us.
And I'm not disagreeing with you're right. And in the negotiate, you got to listen to them. You got to negotiate. And that's what we've been doing. That's what you've been doing. And I trust you guys on all that. I'm just not, from my point of view and the public's point of view, they see something we're doing one thing and they don't understand everything they're doing and why we're doing it. And I'm telling you what I see myself is complete 180 of what they promised us.
Yep.
And a lot of that should have been they should have had some offers on that property, some of this property down there before they even came to us to know what if they could even purchase the property. Now I'm fine. Now they can't even afford to buy any of that property. Their real estate agent went and talked to Frank, and she rolled her eyes when she make him an offer. Don't roll your eyes at him and insult him and leave. Make him an offer. But,
Right.
I mean, now that's the only thing that's left is the old Seaside Senile Cove property, Frank's property right next to him, adjacent to him, which to them is extremely valuable, more to them than anybody.
Exactly.
It's adjacent to their property. So make them an offer. If they made them an offer and working on trying to buy that, I'd be more willing to negotiate with them even more. So well, they're really trying to do something.
What makes you
excellent.
think an offer hasn't been made?
I don't. Maybe there has been.
And so maybe it probably would be best not to put that out there because
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying if they have.
Well, I assure you that there's stuff going on.
Okay, well, that's good.
But these people have their own interests, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to be in private equity and make money on money and do that as your business. But we have our own horse in the race because we're a city of Port Richey, and these people. Ryan's a very nice gentleman. I've spoke to him on the phone, things like that. But he obviously doesn't really care that much about the little city of Port Richey, realistically. And I'm not here to say anything and make a row, but he doesn't show up to the meetings. He might listen to this meeting, obviously, but he's not here. They're not even cutting the grass. Like at least for your own public image, just cut the grass and make the thing that.
Yeah.
They just cut it. I know.
So
It still looks.
Cut it.
Well, they're getting
I
ready.
agree, it looks bad.
They're getting ready to tear it down.
Listen,
so-
there is no doubt that they could have kept the property cut and all that.
Millions of dollars we're talking about. Cut the grass so the people feel.
But I will say that the intent is to mow it all down and clear it and all that, and they got hit with a gopher tortoise survey that they had to do.
By the way, a gopher tortoise.
They had to do that. They have been cleared. There were no gopher tortoises there, and so now they are able to proceed with the clearing. So
Building anything if there was a gopher.
it's very easy to sit back.
What's the timeline for the clearing?
Oh my.
They should be coming, as far as I know. They're ready to go. So they got to get permits to do it. But so within a couple of weeks, have you seen anything, building department, from them?
Oh, they've requested demo, right?
They have not.
They have
No.
Not at this time.
Okay. They just got clearance from the tortoise survey a couple days ago.
Correct. So they were doing an environmental study first.
Good.
But yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So it's easy to drive around and see, and I'll be honest with you. Before I got into government, I would have never thought this, but now that I got in government, I understand that, when you see a building going up, I look at that and I think, man, the amount of work and time that went to get it to that point is unfathomable.
A lot of people with clipboards.
So, but once it gets going, it goes fairly quickly, right? And so they are doing their due diligence. They've and again, they have financing, not financing issues, like they can't come up with another $4.7 million.
Of course they can.
Well, of course.
They go to.
You have things like, you don't want to dilute existing investors. You don't want to. You have limited ability to get things because the city of Port Richey has a stigma that we're very difficult to deal with.
We're not difficult to deal with, but we've had a.
Not anymore, but we were.
All I'm saying is these people came in. They said they were going to buy the whole waterfront.
I mean, you
Sorry.
Who's saying that? Where is that coming from?
That's the old council.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, are the investors saying that to you now, or is this just common knowledge?
No, this is what I heard back was that they were having difficulty getting certain things that normally would happen because nobody wants to touch it because it's Port Richey.
We have waterfront property. I'm sorry, man. That's the thing is, okay, so listen, we got boom and bust cycles in Florida. I mean, that's gonna happen. You know, and if you don't catch the wave going, up and down,
Doesn't matter.
then you're gonna be in trouble, and it's not gonna happen. And we're not in the upswing at this point. We're coming down.
The reality is,
We missed that, and that's okay, but we're going to get it in the next 5 or 10 years when it comes up again, and that's fine. But the whole conversation of this was, we got $5 million at CRA. We need to utilize that money on our parks, like Matt told me we should before he left.
we need to utilize some aspect of that in our parks.
Majority of it, he said that we could fix all of our parks with that, and that's what you should do with that money. And I said, and I left it at that, and and the meeting was over and whatever. But what I'm saying is, we shouldn't be, kind of slow playing this for these developers to figure out what they're doing. We need to do what we need to do, because this may never come to pass. And this is big money that we've accumulated at this point, and I want to see this money shepherded properly by this council, and that's why I'm here. It's because there's actual money on the line for us that we've accumulated, that we've all paid into, and that's what I want to see happen. That's really why I'm here.
If I could, okay, let's say that we pump $5 million into all our parks. Okay,
That's right.
what do we get for that? Other than we got great parks and people visit them, they like them and all that, but what do we actually get for it?
I love you, but I hate that.
Well, it's a valid question.
It's for our citizenry. That's who's paying the taxes.
Hold on, can I get an answer on that? What do we get from that we can actually continue to redeploy resources?
This is really what it is. It gives you a better appeal of the community, so people come in and fix the slum and blight. That's the idea. And frankly, the slum and blight is so bad in this community that it's creeped into our parks to the point where they're getting slum and blighted by our building official, and rightfully so. He should have done that.
Yes.
Okay? And probably, just saying, Nick's Park is pretty bad. You can freaking pluck a floorboard up. You know what I'm saying? It's not safe there, realistically. So we really need to fix our parks, put that money into there, and move on with our day. And then we need to start reallocating this money to other things. And then once we clean our plate, then we could get new things in the pipeline. And I feel bad for Andy, because he just showed up. He's got to deal with all this stuff. You know what I mean? Poor guy. You know what I'm saying?
Don't worry about me.
Serious. It's a lot of work.
Let Bob talk.
If we do all this and help them out, which is fine, and we use CR money for parks and for them, which is probably what everybody here is interested in doing, limited depending on what they're going to do for us. All of a sudden we have something more presentable. Another investor comes in, like a big Marriott or wants to put a resort out there, will create more revenue, more traffic for the city, and they want to negotiate with us. Well, we just did it all with them. We don't have that now.
Yep.
So that money's gone. Now we'll get next year, but if we have all these plans in order for parking garage, and fire station, and more docks, and all this stuff, that's going to bring more. I mean, people are going to wake up.
Yeah.
We need to get involved with this. You're going to have such as a large hotel chain want to put a nice resort there with a rooftop restaurant, help us with the parking garage, but they want more infrastructure. They want something done, whatever.
If it's not them, it's going to be somebody.
It'll be somebody, right?
Exactly. We don't care if it's them.
Right.
Nobody's
giving Burks any money.
I know. But
nobody's limited to.
Okay.
I mean, the reality of right now is
and we don't have an investor.
They
coming in yet
they own the 8.5 acres, and they're moving forward with doing something, and they're engaging this.
They might not, though. That's the thing, because
Why not?
on the down cycle, they bought it at the top of the market.
Okay.
That's what happens when you buy at the top of the market. You're stuck with this thing. It was the music. The music stopped, and they were stuck with it. And that's kind of what happened. It's a wonderful piece of property, but they paid a lot.
They made a conscious decision to buy at that rate.
Just because they made a conscious decision doesn't mean it was the right one.
It was in the market you're describing, and they chose to still pay that.
The market has gone down since then.
Well, not really.
We had a hurricane that
They bought it after the hurricane.
It doesn't matter. It's still the market.
Why does none of this matter?
No, I'm saying the market has still come down drastically. Look at housing. Go on Zillow.
I would argue that the market has went up, actually.
The property's going to go up over there.
No, I get that, but again, not this moment. it might take 5 or 10 years to get to the next cycle. And that's why the CRA was put together in the first place in 1969, because we were having a boom and bust cycle. That's the natural way of Florida. It's boom and bust here. It's either you get it on the upswing or you don't get it at all, because nobody's putting money in in the trough. You know what I mean? You got to get it when it's high up. And if you don't make it, then you're not going to do it.
Let me pause you for a second. Give somebody. Come up.
I'm not that intelligent. Rob Kenworth, did I say all the addresses?
Name and
Rob
address.
Kenworth, 5800 Queenery Avenue. Right off the bat in the beginning, there's no development going on. You drive around? Do you drive around? They're building communities everywhere. No, you talked way too much already. I'm sorry. You guys are doing good, and I know you're moving forward. It may go slow, and know things aren't going the way they were planned originally. But, I mean, there's so much negativity up here, so much being thrown out there that I'm lost. I came here with notes, and I don't even know where to start. And how much slum and blight is there really out there? I drive around, I don't see a lot of it. I see some of it, but they make it sound like, remember, was everyone downgraded or we're all negative on Newport Richie 10, 15 years ago? Oh, it's the shittiest place to be, all drugs and everything. Yeah? Look at it now. It's really that bad then? I don't know. I've only been in Florida 10 years, all right? But Port Richie, yeah, it's kind of, I mean, that property's been sitting there since I'm here, doing absolutely nothing. So he bought it at whatever the market was. That's why he bought it. He had vision. I mean, the guy lives here. His wife lives here. Their kid lives here. I don't see where the guy's trying to back off. I know details. You guys know more details about it than I do. It was hopeful originally. His plan was pretty good. It was presented really wrong. I mean, he presented it terribly. But overall, I think it was a great idea. The condos, the shops, all the little things along the water. So I don't know. You know more than I do. I know what I saw, what I heard, and what people I know were talking about and thinking about. But all this negativity, it's just unbelievable. I know you guys are doing the best you can. Yeah, it's a good piece of property. Someone's going to buy it. Someone's going to do something with it, no matter what. The acquisitions of the properties, I think doing Grand Avenue as a main street is excellent. We own the big property with the dredge lot. The firehouse moves. You didn't have that lot. That'd be a great place. So you have two places to go. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight. We all know that. But there's too much negative. I don't know what these people are looking at. I mean, I don't even catch meetings every time. But, I see the progressing. I've lived in Port Richie 5 years. So when I came here 5 years ago, you know what 5 years ago was like. So it's 100% improvement. You got very good people on the council. You're doing a great job, Christine. Doing crazy good stuff. But that's you. I knew that was your research ability is really deep and excellent. But I just get frustrated. I got so many things I want to talk about, but I'm burnt. You guys doing great. Keep going. I know it's a little bit, and I mean you can't do it all at once. You can't throw it all on the table. And one more comment about the parks. We don't need another park. I don't care what anyone says. Fix what we have, great. Don't spend all the money on all the parks. I think that some land acquisition, if that's part of CR or whatever it is, that's great. We fix what we have. Word from Park could be an excellent place if we do I don't know what we can do there, but I mean, I know there was a pier out there at one time in the 80s. Bring that back, whatever. But we don't need another park. And to buy that land down there by Brasher, I wouldn't do it. That's just my opinion. So. Doing a great job. Thanks.
Anybody have any comments on that want to talk?
Dave Mueller, 5439 Blue Point Drive. While we're on the parks, I guess that was the initial. Brasher Park has got and blight issues. You care to elaborate on what's going on there and why that was done? From my personal perspective, I did not see that being the situation. And I know you guys are talking about possibly creating another boat launch there. That, in my opinion, is never going to happen. You don't have deep water beyond the park there to get out. What you really need to do with that park is you need to maintain the mangroves. You need to put our own staff to work and get somebody certified so that they can cut mangroves, because we have mangroves as part of our maintenance in this city. It'd be a lot easier for us to cut it than have to pay a third party to do that. And it's just the smart thing to do. And I've been bringing this up before I was even on council. So somebody's not paying attention. Somebody's not looking for opportunity. You really need to do a little introspect in the decisions here and put a plan together. Just like he said, you don't have anything with this park, any of these parks, in the plan. And they probably need to be in the plan. Maybe we need to do is start with a clean piece of paper, start with a community workshop, and see what the community wants here.
Didn't we? I thought we just had a CRA workshop. Didn't we just redo our plan just recently? We had a
Didn't include any parks.
You got your 2024 CRA plan. It sets out goals and things like that. I think you just go a step further and actually be programmed.
Right.
A way to get to your, but we are legally required to have the plan updated, and that's been updated as of last year.
But it's probably before you got here.
Yeah.
They actually had some meetings here at City Hall for the 2024 plan, where the people came out and they kind of talked about
everything
that.
I do has to be referred back to that plan.
Right.
And we connected. So that's my Bible.
So we can do another one. But I mean, we paid a consultant to come out here and to do that, to redo that plan. And you come back up, that's fine.
Just so you know, there was a question about Brasher. I forwarded council about an hour ago an email, the building official's letter, and a bunch of pictures of the slum and blight problems at Brasher.
Yeah, and I actually just answered Dave's question. So, Veronica, could you talk a little bit more about why it was slum and blighted and what?
Rust, cracked, but
Yeah, so in that letter the email I sent, the building official had found that the structure or the portion had been extensively damaged, that caused the building and structure to be destroyed or possess immediate and manifest danger to life, health, and safety for the general public of occupants. So while he was out there, he took several pictures, of which I forwarded to the city manager, in his expert opinion as a building official. I did talk to him again about that. He did state that it is slum and blight and it is not safe to be out there. Both the playground had issues and the structures had issues. So he asked us to rope it off and to found it to be slum and blight.
Okay. So that being said, I guess the next step would be those structures would come down, right? Similar to the way the bathroom is.
Correct.
So we're moving to the point in Brasher Park where we're going to have a clean slate down there because everything's going to be bulldozed, right? So we need to figure out, do we put up the exact same structures that we have, or do we do something differently? I know consensus council, we're going to kind of look at a possible launch, redo that there. We obviously need more boat access, and not every boat launch is deep water access, right? You can launch a lot of boats out there, maybe not sailboats, maybe not.
Shallow there though, and rocky.
But again, and launches don't always start as being deep water. It's something. Again, this is a long term. I hope that we can do a local launch there right away, and then actually once we show that infrastructure there, that we can petition the feds to try to get a channel dug out there.
We're talking about basically smaller vessels.
Yeah, any load you take off a deep water launch, it's
People are going to be ripping their stuff out up there. I mean, that's a tough.
Well, like he said, the state, once you showed it,
hey, we got
they
launch
can
here. We
get-
need some deep water,
it's state property, they would dredge that if we show it needs to be done.
right?
And
So
what
I
else
can tell
we
you,
doing there? So
additional water access.
Is good.
The county is all over it for one, so I think they would probably even help with that. But from the state,
and we
federal,
could run it right from Brasher right to the main channel out there.
and then you
towards Turnkey.
take traffic out of the river, which is a benefit.
Right.
So there's again, this is just a
That could just be for locals.
yeah.
I'm,
We need boat access, and somebody could take their John boat down there, their jet skis, or all that. It's a very it takes that traffic away from other launches that are deep water that you can get more deep water launches on, right? So
very shallow, and also too, it's really rocky there. So to dredge that, it would be like they almost need to like blast it, or something like they did with Gulf Harbors to actually dig that out, because it's not like there's like a limestone shelf there. I mean, trust me, my lower
Well, things are dredged different now than they were back in 1950. They don't do this the same way.
Yeah. So, but again, if it was just a launch for smaller craft and stuff like that, it would be a benefit, right? And like I said, depending on the tides, you could launch a larger boat there. I mean, I've had my large boat back in there, and it goes along that canal.
Well, you live over there,
right? And so there,
but only at high tide can you even think to even do anything over there.
Exactly. But once you have that infrastructure set up, then you could possibly get some deeper water in the future. Again, we need to have more launch areas, and that just makes sense over there. And so, since we're going to have a clean slate to deal with, we need to look at what we're going to do with that park, and maybe we don't. Maybe just put everything back the way it was. Again, it's a decision.
Well, what we could do is you could actually space it out, right, to where it could accommodate, future things like what you're discussing. Yeah. Hard to do it there. I like I said, I go for runs there, like couple.
It's the same footprint as Nick's Park.
Nick's Park's not ideal.
No,
but what's nice about Nick's is it's on a federal channel, and that's the difference. Sure. And also, it's known for years. I mean, it's been used for 100 years.
Well, if you could have people that didn't need water and you can even have a sign Nick's Park, hey, shallow water
only, or jet skis.
Please use down the road.
Everybody loves jet skis.
Parking for them, they wouldn't be competing for park. I mean, the more the better.
I agreed, and I'm not trying to be negative about really anything. What I'm trying to say is I think we've been distracted by the Ryan Burke show. You know what I mean? And I've
been distracted by the Ryan Burke show.
Okay, that's fine.
Nobody's being distracted.
I'm passionate. I love the city. And I do know what's kind of going on because I pay attention. I watch all the meetings, and I think that we are on the right track, and Port Richey is a great place, and I think that I want to see it do well, and I obviously I know the area really well because I live here, and I look at property here, and I'm staring at properties and who owns this, and what's possibility for this, because that's how my brain works, and I want this place to flourish and do really well, and I think that we need to fix our parks, and I think that Tony was right by slumming and blighting that park. I think that was a forcing function by him, and that was the right thing to do. And I think it's like basically saying, hey, clean your room. You know what I mean? We need to clean our room. Mm-hmm. So that was probably a good thing. And maybe if we want to do some kind of park there or something like that with a boat ramp or whatnot, maybe we set it up to where it's sort of spaced out, so where there's open area in the middle and things like that. There's not a lot of room there, though. I tell you, it's kind of a funky. But if you got a clean slate, but it's all surrounded by mangroves, so there's not really a whole lot you can do. You know what I'm saying? So it's,
Well, the study that they're doing, the mapping and the seagrass study is going to be on the south side of that. So if in their opinion, Stantec's opinion, if it was a launch, you would go down to Brasher Park and you would launch on that south side of the Brasher Park.
Well, you couldn't launch on the other side anyways, right?
Exactly. It's all mangrove, but that south side will be where it is. And so that would be where it goes.
It's a great idea. Just, you know what I mean? It's
only parked like 15, 16 trucks and trailers out there though at the moment.
No room for anything else.
Then you have that other property, or you can park on the side of the Coons Road.
That's true too, and that's cheap. The CRA could acquire that for fair. I mean, that's like a cheap thing. I mean, that's like, it's like, $50,000, $100,000. It's no big deal when you got $5 million in there.
And those lots that we were talking about for the deep water stuff for the well at the beginning of Coons Road and all that, those are very inexpensive lots. And so, if you think about it,
talking about in the beginning,
right? And so there's obviously you got the Villa Bay there, which has ones and stuff in there. If we were to need that for the water plant, and we did put a playground or something on top of it or whatever for the kids, it's located very close to that. It makes sense, and that takes the need to have it down the road in Brasher Park out of the equation, so you can focus more on parking and whatnot.
But we still got Waterfront Park. We still got Nick's Park.
We're going to invest in those too. Again, amphitheater.
What's the other amphitheater we got? What's the other park? Over on
Olsner.
Olsner.
Right. There's a lot of them, but first, I want to go back to what Rob was saying earlier. He's talking about the negativity. I look at it more as healthy conversation. It's we all up here for a change finally really have the same kind of vision for the city.
Mm-hmm.
All I see is a difference in priorities on those visions, and that's something that we need to. Is what only thing I want to get done is to prioritize. We have parks we need to address, which we are address what we need to do with the parks we have, the property we have now, and show to the state that we're good shepherds of what we have, and so that means what we're going to acquire will have good shepherds of that as well, and they see that. I think more funding will come. I think a lot more investments will come. A lot less negotiations because people are going to want to be a part of that.
That's right.
If we prioritize what we're doing and have more shovel-ready projects for what needs to be done. And we need to have it engineered and done. And I think we'll get a lot more accomplished. But as far as we're on pretty much the same page here, and we just have healthy conversations.
Yeah, I mean, that's most negativity.
Well, that's Devin, and we need more people like him up here.
If you got to talk, you got to come to the podium.
Take it as negativity.
No.
I don't. So it may sound like
It's
you're
an
out there,
opinion.
but it's
I'm a little like, you know, rah.
say
But I'm.
the tough things sometimes to get the.
Comment, Christine?
I do.
Sorry, Ashley.
For Brasher Park, since we have so many ideas for our CRA dollars, we could just do a cleanup of Brasher without putting a whole lot of money into it, do the bare basics, and then think about a rebranding of that park to maybe a Veterans Memorial Park or something like that, to where the finality of the park, after we clean it up, get it opened back up and everything, the funding would then come from grant opportunities where we could turn it into, something really nice with a theme and get it paid for, and now that won't pay for things that wouldn't pay for things like boat docks or boat ramps or anything, but our CRA dollars could do that. But as far as the beautification process, if we made it a veterans park, which I think we had I think that had been talked about at some point, that we need to look at having a veterans memorial somewhere in the city.
Yeah, one other thing I had mentioned to the mayor when we were out of Brasher was maybe a viewing platform so you can put things underneath but see over those mangroves.
That's what I was going to say.
And all of that,
Observation deck.
Become a
could get all
sunset.
of that.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
That would make
back
beautiful
in a-
pictures.
in a-
Wouldn't it?
One of those things that's
Definitely
raised
is
up.
needed.
You
That's
can see this. You can see
You
the
can
still
get-
homes.
Consensus here. I love it.
Still homes.
Grant money to do all of those type of things.
Selling at them.
Yeah, no,
Show me the money.
the observation tower was talked about when we had our visiting session. That was one of the things that
When we can afford it.
Right, a two-story walkway.
So here's something I want to make clear, and so we could do a lot, right? The potential is really unlimited. What is limited is the financial aspect of it. There's a couple ways that the city can get money through obviously grants and appropriations, and thank God we were able to get $4.3 million this last year, and hopefully we'll continue to get a little bit every year. The other thing is we could raise taxes to do it, right? And of course, nobody likes that. We could have economic development that where we actually have people coming in, and as the hurricane came through, it kind of, I guess, probably kickstarted that in a bad way, but in a good way as well, because as those properties change hands, they're getting fixed up, and so those valuations go up. And so when we start talking about the Ryan Burke show, as you call it, the reason that is so important is when you talk about, and the point I was trying to make, if we were to take our CRA money and we put it all in our parks, and we could do that, and we could make, in the words of Vice Mayor, we could really have some smoking parks. If he's listening.
Matt was. I think Matt though was really on the right track with that, and he obviously, went to a different, place to for his tenure, but he left the conversation with that for a reason.
Right.
I said before we ended the discussion, Matt was in his office. I said, what do you see that needs to be done that you think is probably one of the? He goes, you got $5 million in your CRA. That could go to your parks, and it could fix all your parks. Matt was very smart. He knew he was probably too professional for Port Richey, realistically, and we were lucky to have him. I'm being honest. He was very professional. He dealt with a lot. He cleaned up a lot of stuff. I'm not sure everybody liked him on staff, but that's not always a bad thing either. You know what I mean? That means he's doing the right thing. They don't. Not everybody likes Adam. You know what I mean? Adam, everybody likes you on staff.
Hey, this is news to me.
But and when I hear that, I'm like, it's because he's doing his job. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is.
If you could humor me for a second, let me think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, going back to the parks, if we were to take and so we have $5 million CRA, we do, and once you spend that, you don't have it anymore. Okay, so if we deploy
though we get new money from CRA, correct?
$12 million.
That's a lot of money.
It sure is.
What is
But
what is it on?
700,000.
huh?
How much?
700,000.
700,000 plus our kick in around $1.3 million.
Right.
It's not,
So-
it's not 7 million every year.
No, it's
No. So how much is it annually that we get in?
About $1.2 million.
So 800,000 from the county and roughly about 700.
So-
That's so much money. You could do so much with it.
So $1 million
We do
is
a lot with it, though.
$1 million is not a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
$500,000 took us to pay Bay Boulevard. Okay, that's $500,000.
But that was ARPA.
Finish my thought.
Yes, sir.
Please, and then you can have the floor.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
So what I'm trying to explain here is if we take $5 million and we deploy it in park, okay, we're going to get $1 million every year after that. Let's keep that out of it.
Yes.
We put $5 million in park, we get zero because we don't getting tax money from the parks. Okay, so we deploy the $5 million. We got smoking parks. We may get trickled. What do we call this? Trickle
down economics.
Trickle down economics, whatever. With people coming in and say, "Hey, they got smoking parks there. I want to buy a house," and we get some attrition in there, and those things happen. Okay,
Smoking parks.
but and this is I'm not advocating for this, but I'm just using an example. Let's say we take that $5 million and we help the Ryan Burke Show get that project off the ground. That one section of 19, hear me out. We deploy that $5 million for that.
Yes.
Again, not advocate for that. I just for the sake of argument.
Yes.
We deploy that there to help get that off the ground. That produces $750,000 every year just on that parcel. If that same $5 million produces zero. So if you have that, if you get that off the ground, you get that $750,000 machine working every year, right? You can continue to deploy that into your city. But if you deploy it all in your parks and you can't help that development and they walk.
I'm not saying that that's not true. What my issue with this is that we have all this money in CRA and we need to deploy it on things that are urgently needed for the city.
We need to deploy some in parks.
And these people are not the city. These people are investors, and I don't care if they live in Harbor Point behind two gates. It doesn't matter. They're very nice people. I respect them, and I respect what they do in the community and everything that they're trying to do. But we haven't seen anything, and it's a lot of talk. And hang on, they're private equity people. And again, there's nothing wrong with being private equity, but as Matt said, they make money on money. That's what they do. They're not developers.
They're
not developers, by the way.
I want to correct you because you're giving an opinion, which is not factual. Okay.
Right.
What is factual is they are in the process of moving toward a development on that parcel. Okay.
Right.
That is the reality.
We don't know if it's going to come to pass because the economy doesn't really support it right now. That's my problem. I know enough about the economy and what's going on in the real world.
Right.
It's hard. The condos, there's a buildup of condos right now in the market.
Okay.
It's not a.
You're talking about a condo project. There's no plans for it. What was sold is that they want to create a mixed use commercial development down on the waterfront that has public spaces, public access, water. Walk along the water and whatnot. Obviously, depending on the property they get, it limits what they can do, but they do have that entire strip along there.
Yes.
Again, mostly residential, probably on the 19 lot, which makes some sense.
Right.
But again, this one little piece that they're starting with is a 19 property, the mixed use commercial stuff and the stuff on the waterfront. Once that gets started, they start to do that, and that's another multi-million-dollar project. So again. They're knocking on the door right now. You say economy may tank, all of a sudden, if that happens, you know,
I mean, interest rates are high. It's hard to finance a project like that is what I'm saying.
they have financing, and they're asking for
About that. It's the fact that the financing that they have is expensive and the market doesn't necessarily support it. So there's a lot of market forces not allowing this to pass is what I'm saying. And I'm not saying it will never happen.
Here's all I would say. I would caution you,
Yes, sir.
everybody listening, as well as council and myself, that there's no hardcore anything happening right now because they're going through the motions. But the goal, their vision, is to do something down there, and they're working through that process. So I would challenge you to step back and let's see what happens.
But we got so I'm with that, but we got $5 million in CRA and our parks are falling apart. Yes. So we need to utilize that money towards our parks. Yes. And that's
if we blow $5 million in the park and then we don't have anything to possibly help that when it is time.
We get $1.5 million a year from CRA, right? So we're replenishing that. We're sitting on an overabundance of money, is what I'm saying.
We will
deploy this. This is a positive thing. I'm saying we need to spend money to fix our parks.
Yes, we are.
And we don't need to wait for these people to figure out what they want to do.
We have $1.79 million programmed to the parks.
That's not enough.
Okay.
We can allocate more, but we're not waiting exactly for the developers when it comes to what we're doing with the park. We've been in discussions. I've been talking about Nix. He's been talking about Brasher. Things are going to happen, whether or not the developers.
Sure.
But if you can unlock huge amounts of money, you can get your parks done a hell of a lot faster than if you just deploy $5 million now and you basically have nothing to help. You talked about Grand Boulevard. If you unlock the waterfront potential and you unlock Grand Boulevard potential, you're talking about an insane amount of money to be able to deploy in the parks and create and do your marina. I mean, there's so much. I mean, the vision is there.
Yeah.
But the vision requires funds, and if you and we have a little bit of money, we have $5 million. We do, and if we blow it, and I'm not saying it would be blown on the parks, but if you don't invest it properly, because if you invest in your parks, you get zero return other than.
It's not. That's the wrong way to look at it, though. And I'm a business person, I don't look at it that way. I think that fixing your parks and your communities are very important.
It is important,
especially when it brings people to the community, like Nick's Park and things like that. And
that water.
One thing he was saying, as far as if we spend $3 million on docks over at Waterfront Park,
yes,
that would raise revenue for the city. But if you spend, say, for instance, $3 million to help that development grow, and then we're getting $2 million a year from the taxes on the development that they do, and we have more money to put into Waterfront Park. We can do that later after that's done, and then after they build their development, then we have more money to put in.
My issue is I don't want us to sit on our hands. I want us to actually do things.
There is no sitting on hands going on here.
Well, no, we have been, because that's why we have $5 million.
We're not supposed to stockpile CRA.
Exactly, but we are stockpiling CRA right now, and that's why
we have stockpiled.
Right.
The we is changed. In case you have noticed, it's a entirely different board.
But just spending it on things is not always the thing to do either. You know what I'm saying? So that's really why I see a need in the city, and I'm pushing for that, and that's my thing.
I like your passion. I think it's great. I've been yelling the same thing. Everybody can ask. I've been yelling the same thing, and there is a plan. I mean, it may not be the best plan right now, but no one is talking about wasting money. I'm not a wasteful kind of money. When I got into government business, it was all about you got to be good stewards of our money. I think that's what we're trying to do here.
Yes.
This is a plan. It may not be the best plan, but it's a plan, and it's a plan to put money to reinvest it back into the city. So I think you come back in a year from now. I think you can yell at us then and say, okay, we're not doing something. I'm not yelling, but I mean just hold us to the fire. And I'm telling you, I think that in the next year you're going to see some really good progress with that. So I want you to trust. You got to trust the process. And like you said, there's new people here. You got Andy, you got me, you got Derek. We actually have someone that can control that a little bit. So there's a plan in place. We just gotta let us work it. Okay.
And
what's Chris got to say? Chris is so quiet, man. Come on.
Just wait. I just hold my papers and wait for an end.
I'm saying a lot. I'm learning to listen a lot and speak a little.
Did you have a comment, Chris?
Oh,
I mean, I'll tell you what I think, and I'm okay going on record with this. I think Devin's got some great ideas. And I think that the crown jewel we have with Waterfront Park, sitting there in the condition it's in, is really, we're being forced towards what we've been given. And I think if we're going to, and we'll call it what it is, put a fire under anybody's fanny to get things moving, we're not going to wait on them, because when we wait on them, they're going to be asking us for money to move forward because we're sitting there waiting on them. I think we need to get aggressive and move forward and develop the tools that we have. And I've already said it about the parks. You know, somebody mentioned earlier about buying the land over there on the corner of Old Post and stuff. That's cheap money. That's little money for something that down the road could do us great good. But better than that, I think Devin brings a lot to the table when he talks about developing that marina out there that would cause us to bring in more people to spend more money to buy properties that are dilapidated and redevelop them and live here. Because they live on all those back roads if they can keep their boat out in the marina there. All those houses would double in value overnight. So I think there's value to that. I love the fact that Bob has pushed us a little bit to one side to start using the money towards developing that property. And then Devin's jumped in and spent his whole evening and probably the last 30 days of his life to give us insight on what we could really get out of that front or that waterfront park if we developed it correctly. You know, I think an amphitheater in there, small amphitheater, and a full-blown marina out there would bring in not only other folks to buy these residential properties that are sitting or having a hard time selling, but it would also fuel the fire for the developers to get something back there, because no better is a condo that's right next to a marina that overlooks the beautiful water.
Yep.
So I'm listening. I'm just trying not to.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
And I've got some passion about what Devin's talking about here. I certainly do. I also, Eric, have passion for what Mr. Burke and his team are trying to do over there. But I think, you know, it may be in our best interest to make sure we understand all options and look at all things. And I don't think we should say, well, we've already looked at it and made all our decisions. I think we should keep an open mind about it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Thanks, Chris. Christine?
I have another memo, another project that I've been working on, which is the conceptual framework for Waterfront Park. And again, I think this is another one that needs another park that needs to be rebranded and develop like a theme. And since we are required under the
FCT.
Yeah, FCT to do something for the at-risk youth. I think if we aim this park towards, like, we could call it Waterfront Youth and Public Safety Park. I've even thought of how we could house the boats for the fire department and the police department over there if they were up for that idea. They could also offer training for the at-risk youth. And all of these, if you conceptualize thinking in terms of grants and the things that the police department, the fire department, science as far as the mangroves, the manatees, the music, you could have an amphitheater. If you encompass it all around or gear it all around youth and public safety, then you can make it so we could go in. We can't use our grant dollars, our CRA dollars over at Waterfront Park anyway, because of the way that the FCT has limitations on what can be done, and the CRA dollars are for are for slum and blight. So it could do some lighting and it could do some street type work, things like that. But as far as rejuvenating the entire park, we need grant money for that, but we need to get a concept. And so I've worked on a concept for that, and I want to submit this to Ashley so that everybody on council can review it. And it's not nothing we need to review now or pick apart, but if we could, everybody take a look at it, and then later on we could meet on some of these things. And like for instance, the plan that I have for Nick's Park, that's a revenue generating park with kiosks. Already done the framework for that. Now, this one not necessarily as much, but we could generate revenue at Waterfront as well. So we can't use the CRA dollars, but we could, if we could get concepts ready, if we could get a plan enacted, then we could apply for shovel-ready grants and then start using grant money to start doing these parks and not rely solely on our CRA dollars.
Mhm.
If I can submit these to Ashley,
Yep,
then
send her a digital
everybody
copy and she can
Is
send it.
that what wayfinding will be doing?
yeah, that's all part of this too. Our wayfinding
Yeah,
project
that's what
is
the wayfinding people will be doing.
Yeah.
You ever
Yeah.
sleep? You ever sleep?
Not much.
I think so.
Not much. I get
We're
an
all busy.
idea and it just goes and
She
goes.
can
and-
email those.
Thank God for that, by the way, that you're so involved and busy and, you know, doing the legwork, you know what I mean? Because that's really what it takes.
And I think it would probably be a good idea that we do have a planning session
Mhm.
to talk about the overall waterfront area and what our visions collectively are and how we can start executing on those visions. Does it require purchasing some property? Does it
Just make
require
next
land
steps
swaps or whatever? And then once we kind of put that together, see where we want to go, and we take in consideration what all's going on down there with, you know, there's a wedding venue going to go in for the Whiskey Joe's, that they bought the old casino, the house there or whatever.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think they bought the other lot for what I think they were going to use that for parking or whatever. You've got Ryan's group, and you've also got what's going to happen to Seaside or whatever. So as we look at overall big picture, we can kind of see where the city parts are and what we want to try to position ourselves and what we want to do from a public space perspective. And then once we kind of have that straw manned in or whatever, then we can start executing on these.
Right, just have next steps, get a plan.
Yeah.
And
So is that something that we can take away from this? If we can maybe set up a,
Do you want to do a workshop, council workshop?
yeah, and maybe if you could ask, I know it's going to come to council for the GAI consulting firm that we were looking at to look at Grand Boulevard. If you could ask them if that's something that they would, because I know that they were looking at mapping not just Grand Boulevard, but the entire area. So I think that might be an extension of that exercise with them, and we could probably have that same discussion within that framework.
So staff is working with a service to do a conceptual plan that includes inputs from you all, the community, but also mock-ups as well. So you can actually see what it looks like and make edits then. So we're working at a meeting tomorrow, like I said, the Regional Planning Council, who's done this for Newport Richey for free for their Main Street. So that's what the idea came from. So the idea is to start there, talk to them, see what they're able to offer, see what the cost is or not. And then they did ask if we wanted public input, which we would obviously want that as well. But we also have the branding and wayfinding. That meeting is on Thursday, and that's the whole city. And so these pieces are going forward together, but they're not quite there to present yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What times are these meetings?
We have a full staff meeting tomorrow at 3:00. It's exploratory for
Okay.
staff between our staff and the Regional Planning Council. And then the branding and wayfinding is Thursday afternoon, I think. And again, that's preliminary. That still needs public input and all that, but that's the initial information that they got. So I'll have a discussion about that, and then the next step would be to do that public input.
And that time was what?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday at 2:00.
Too.
And can we come to those? No.
What?
Dang.
Wah, wah.
One of them good.
But no more.
Yeah, one could.
One
good.
could.
Only one.
Wouldn't violate
Damn it,
sunshine if you attended, but nobody else, none of the other electeds.
Yeah, because you can't talk amongst the other.
You're going.
I've not been invited. I didn't know. This is the first I've heard.
Oh,
it, so
okay. If you'd like to attend one, and I can attend one, then,
doesn't matter.
or unless you don't want to attend.
I got plenty to do. So if you want
Okay.
to,
Yeah, I'll take a look
This is
at. I'll take a look at my
preliminary, so,
calendar.
we don't have a meeting schedule set up, right? Obviously, with the wayfinding and branding we do, because they're under contract, so we have a better idea. This one with the park is strictly exploratory. I had 4 different options to go with, right? And we might go for all of them: a grant, the Regional Planning Council, GIA, and so I needed to kind of focus. And then the first thing coming up is going to be the Regional Planning Council. And if they can do it for free, like they did for Newport Richey, I think it'd be a good idea.
Right. Yeah.
They get paid by the county, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council.
And in Newport Richey, they somehow internally covered the cost through some grant they had internally. So it wasn't a Newport Richey issue or city issue that they figured that out. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
and so, did you have something else? Are you? I was gonna leave you with something. Let me do that first. If you, anything else, so I was gonna just kind of sum up the conversation on where we invest that $5 million, right? And so if you had no job, but you had $1 million in the bank, and you wanted to buy a new Bentley, so that you cruise around in style,
Okay.
really, I mean, it's really nice, or you had an option to take that $1 million and invest it in this hot stock that you know that going to pay dividends, going to pay $1 million dividends every year. Would you delay your Bentley purchase for the sake of having that, taking your $1 million and investing in that so you hit continue income? So I guess that's kind of what I'm saying here is we need to be good stewards of our resources. And so if we could find a mix where we're investing in the community in the areas we need to, and there's priorities there, like I said, Brasher Park doesn't have a bathroom, so we need to do something there. It's going to need a bathroom no matter what it is. So there's ways we can deploy that. We've got over $1 million kind of program towards the parks. We got this opportunity that may or may not come to fruition. Don't know, but they're moving down the line, and so
We just don't know. That's all I'm saying.
let's just keep
Respect to Ryan.
Yes, no. And all I'm saying is let's keep it in the back of our mind that we may need to help them in some way, shape, or form. And we're talking about
That's fine.
we can do that. And then once those options are available, we'll bring it back and then we make a decision, go forward. But the idea behind that is if we can deploy resources to actually generate income at the same time,
Yeah.
that we've got unlocked revenue streams without going to taxpayer dollar. Because nobody likes their taxes. And I'd like to continue lower. If we can grow our tax base and everybody pay.
Aren't they? They're much higher than us, and that's
We're just 2 points higher than this. Actually.
I hear you, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying we need to raise taxes like crazy or nothing, but we do have to pay for our people, and we got to take care of our people.
Again, and there may be a point in the future where we have to crank that up a little bit depending on what we want to do, right? But
I'm not Adam. Adam knows. Adam's like in the numbers, you know what I'm saying? But that's something for him to sort of. There's a political side to it, but then there's the real numbers side to it. You know what I'm saying? So, and then creativity. You know what I mean? And being creative with numbers.
I just want you to know that I'm 100%.
We love you.
With you. I'd love to. There's so many things I want to do. $5 million doesn't even scratch the surface of what I want to do with this place, right? And we all have that same vision. We really want to make this, like I said, the crown jewel of West Pasco, and we will be there. But in order to do so, we've got to unlock revenue in multiple different ways. And so we've got a little bit of cash in the bank. We need to make sure we're going to invest it properly, and parks are definitely a big portion of that. We've also got to make sure that some of the stuff that we got to have economic development happen at the same time, which really unlocks year after year after year of constant income coming in. So we hear that's what to basically say, but we got to make sure that we've.
I only drive trucks, so I only drive trucks.
We got 3 minutes, so if you want to say something else, go ahead.
Daryl, can we give Daryl a raise? I know that sounds crazy, but I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Seriously, he obviously replaced Richie, and I know it's not a funny thing to say, but I got my reasoning. I hire people. I got employees. I have a really good crew right now because I've handpicked everybody, and I've cycled through a lot of bad people and this, that, and the other. But Daryl really showed up and performed during the hurricane. We weren't sure how he was going to do. You can drop a ball on one lift station, and it costs us a ton of money. It's a mess. People's stuff backing up, this, that, and the other. He's super on point with everything he's doing. He runs that show great. Adam's another one. He's obviously newer. He's really good. Ashley's awesome too. Love Ashley. She's super passionate. We almost lost her. Sorry. She's super passionate. We almost lost her. She was going to, leave. And I don't know, somehow she came back and we retained her, but
she wanted to work with me, I think is what it was.
She really wanted to work with you. Yeah. There's people who are really passionate that we're lucky to have. And then also Sal's been here forever. I'm not sure when are you retiring?
2 years, 11 months.
Okay. Okay.
Days, the days and the hours. Okay.
Are you really? Are you really retiring in 3 years?
Well, it all depends. There's things I got to factor out.
Then he's going to run for council.
Yeah.
You're sick of this thing. No, but what I'm saying is that my last point here, and I'll shut up. I'm sorry, by the way, but we have Daryl's really good. We should consider giving him a raise because he does live far, and I don't hire people who live further than 20, 25 minutes away because it stresses out the relationship. Okay, it's not that he's working 8 hours, but he's working close to 10 hours a day, and he's driving back and forth, and it's not fun and it's not a good thing. But Sal's been here forever, like forever. Like he knows like everything, probably too much. And that helps Andy. But we rotate through city managers and things like that. And Andy's here, but Andy's not going to be here for 20 years. You know what I mean? So Andy's good for the intermediate, but we need to sort of look towards, somebody who's going to be here like a Debbie Mans, who's shepherded Newport Richie and made that happen. We need somebody who's going to be here long term. He's doing a great job. Andy's doing awesome. But Andy lives in Sarasota. That's a stressful thing on his relationship. He's got, horses to look after and everything in between. That's tough.
It's never been better, I heard.
Maybe there's that too. In all seriousness, though, my point is, and I appreciate you coming to work for us and doing a great job on our behalf. But I was sort of in favor of having Sal sort of take that position in an interim. Obviously, that was not the thing to do for various reasons. I don't know what they were. But Sal won't be here forever. And my point is we need to figure out a succession plan for him to some extent. And also we need to find our council, or not our council, but our city manager for a long term. And we need to consider paying more because there's a premium to deal with the Port Richey deal over here, okay? Because it's a lot to deal with in Port Richey. It's a lot. So I'm just saying there's something to be said about that. Because right now, if Andy says, see ya, we got Sal. And Sal knows the city really well, so he can pick up the pieces and things like that. And luckily, we got people like Daryl. And the last thing is we need a full-time building official. Period. We need a full-time building official. They generate enough money, we can work it out, figure it out, but we need a full-time building official. They're trying to make too many decisions. It's causing trouble, and Tony's great. He's done a great job. He's got us through a really difficult time in our city with all sorts of stuff, with this flood, terrible, but we need, we're paying a lot of money for a building department on permit fees and things like that, and we need a full-time person. That's what that's for. And it puts a lot of stress on Veronica not to have somebody that she's, common to and she knows well and she has a good relationship with long term. That's tough, getting a new building official every couple years. I couldn't imagine what that's like. You know what I mean? So that's all. So those are my things. I love everybody.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Should we clap for you?
No, don't start that with them.
So
I'll
close on the sour stuff. So it would be my goal that we are the highest paid employees in Pasco. That would be my goal. But to get there, we've got to make some changes. So we have, again, it's all about the revenue. The more revenue we have, the more we can do, and that includes staff salaries. Obviously, the best we can do right now, we programmed, I think 3% in was the across the board, right? I know Andy's looking at doing some merit-based work or whatever in the future that we can actually maybe pay higher performers based on evaluations and whatnot. We're looking at alternate schedules to be more attractive. So maybe, do go in the 410s. That solves Daryl's problem. He can take Friday off, but he's working 10 hours a day anyway.
Daryl's so good. I love him.
Yeah. So I totally agree. And not just Daryl, there's a lot of good people here, staff-wise, that should be paid top dollar. We just can't do that, and
But we'll lose them, and that's the problem.
I get that.
When they're that good, you got to think about it.
Yeah.
Gee, is it worth retaining them?
Yeah, and we are constantly looking at that. And like I said, I would hope that someday, and very very soon, like I said, if we unlock some of the potential in this place, we won't have those problems going forward. And so, obviously, if your staff know that we all up here have your back. We're looking out for you, and we want to make sure that you're not the lowest paid. Let's hope someday be the highest paid. But again, there's a lot of things that we got to do to get the engine moving in order to accomplish that.
This has been brought up several times, trying to work out
Yeah.
with everything we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
like I
they
said,
know that.
and the only thing we could really do is go and raise taxes. Again, nobody likes that. And would the community say that, hey, we're willing to pay another point so we can have the highest paid employees? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You might. But
Excuse me, for employees who can't be a part of the 4-day, 40-hour work week, could they get some kind of extra compensation for not being able to take that benefit?
well, it's not extra compensation.
Well,
It's just
I
that
mean, like, could they get something that is considered,
Same amount of hours.
some incentive that, since they wouldn't be privy to the 4-day, 40-hour work week? I don't know. I haven't looked into this.
Well, that's the same amount of
Well,
hours.
it's an alternative work schedule. Like the police, I think you guys work. What's your schedules?
12 hours.
They work 12-hour shifts, right?
Mhm.
It's just and normally staff works an 8-hour shift 5 days a week.
Mhm.
So it's not any more money. It's just it's basically working longer for 4 days a week, which has
Mhm.
benefits across the board. Like I said, you get.
I mean, like a perk. Could we offer a perk? It's not. I might be using the wrong term, but is there something that those who can't take this new idea and they can't be a part of it? Is there something that we could offer those who can't be a part of that idea?
They work more hours, they get more money.
I don't know.
I don't. It's like I said. It's really. It's not a. It's kind of a perk, but you're having to work longer every day. So there's some people that don't want to work that because they'd rather work 8 hours 5 days a week as opposed to 4 10s.
And it'll be mandatory that everybody works.
I'm still trying to work through it.
That's not necessarily going to happen. It's just something that I thought it might.
It's an option
It's
for
an option,
people.
and if it makes sense, it could possibly save money by shutting down on Fridays. It gives staff some flexibility. It would give the residents flexibility because they would have extended hours, and it might actually help attract employees because we don't pay the greatest. But if we have a schedule that
Flexible.
somebody views it flexible, But I think there's, and maybe the folks that work the 5 days, maybe they can introduce a flex time or something like that.
Well, I like
like flex time. Or
the thought
That's
that,
what I'm
we
thinking, something
we
like
were
that.
talking about having an annual ball every year
Mhm.
to recognize our staff and employees or citizens also, but we could have
Right.
citizens every year too. Like Devin, we could give him a little award for him, so he's got over there. But we could have like a fireman's ball, policeman's ball, mayor's ball. If we have a set day every day, we can hand out awards and stuff.
Yeah, and the Vic Committee is actually looking at what we can do on a regular basis. So, but yeah, I think if anything we can do from a flexibility standpoint.
I'm working through it. I'll get back to council. The only thing I've got nailed down is that Sal and Adam will both be here 6 days a week still. But everyone else, we're looking at the 4-day plan that the mayor suggested. There's a lot of moving parts, so it's just even things that seem simple on the surface.
Right,
dig
I
into them.
know,
I
right.
talked to the mayor a little
Sure.
bit about it. Some details to work out.
So we'll continue to look for stuff that we can help the employees. So that being said, we're at time, so look for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
And what's the second, all in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.